Justice. We're going to be here a while together.
All right, sounds good, man.
Joe, you look great.
Awesome.
Yep.
You can hear me. That's good news.
And I can
All
hear
right.
you, man. So glad to have you together. You and I talked about doing this a few times, and we finally put it together here for everybody that's in, your Facebook community, my Facebook community, our friends, our family, people, that we know through, business dealings and things of that nature. And so let's just go ahead and let's jump right into it. First, let me go ahead and introduce you, since this is my Facebook wall, and I'm adding you here to the Facebook Live. So you are Joe Skelley from the Delaware County area out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. You're a traditional business owner, multipreneur. You and your wife own a very successful business out in Delaware County, Megan's Restaurant, and would love for you to maybe just speak a little bit about that. And you and I have been working together now, I believe now coming on almost 5 years together, working, through the financial services business, through the insurance business, and relationship is rock solid. We're friends outside of business, and it's just been a pleasure having an opportunity to, learn from you and work with you. And even yesterday on the telephone, you were teaching me some things that I can be able to use in my business. So it's just a great working relationship, and I'm really privileged and honored to have you on the line here today and be able to spend this time with you here. So Joe, why don't you tell us all maybe a little bit about how you got your start as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, absolutely, Brett. And I appreciate you, obviously taking the time to put this together. I know we were a little technically challenged getting on here, but got this thing figured out now. Ultimately, the way that I ended up in financial services really was, through a pretty difficult time in my own life. We had obviously had the restaurant, and we tried to do a few other businesses, got involved in a franchise, and things just didn't work out for us. I mean, it was really nobody's fault. It just ended up being 2007 and 2008. It took a lot of other businesses down, and it certainly took us down. But we lost about $250,000 on that business. In fact, we have pretty big payment that we pay each month, with no business to show for it. And, as stressed out as I was at that time, I knew as long as I was, still breathing air, I could get out there and I could turn it around. And so, I kind of took the time about 6 years ago to, really set out and find out what I could do, and what I was looking for was the potential to be able to earn that six-figure income. With some of the responsibilities that I had, that's what I was after. And the only way that I could really see it happening was to be able to go out there and almost work a commission position in sales, something that I was good at. That was the only thing that was going to really help me turn, life around. And, as I went through the interviewing process, I guess I went on about 14 job interviews, and it wasn't, I guess the second interview that I went on was with American General at the time, which is now AIG Financial Network. What I realized pretty quickly there, I didn't know if I was going to get the job. I can tell you guys this, just to step back a little bit, going out there to the interview, I didn't think it was for me, to kind of talk about people passing away, life insurance, it just didn't seem like a fit. But I kept an open mind, I wanted to see what it was all about. And, I ended up liking the two guys that were interviewing me. But what I learned in the meeting was, real quickly, was that I didn't know if I was going to get the job or not, but I knew, that Laurie and I, my wife and I, needed protection. And she had worked hard to build that restaurant up. It's what it was after 12 years. And we realized that it really could it could all be lost overnight, without the proper plan in place. And so, I eventually did get the job, and ultimately, we were our first customers, myself and Laurie. So that's really how I got my start. The work that I've done over the years really was born out of my own need for these particular coverages.
Now, when you say that the work that you've been able to provide for others was born out of your own need, what does that mean? What did that mean for you at the time?
So for me at the time, we had, literally no plan, and I think what happens as business owners is you get caught up in the day-to-day grind of just running your business, and you don't realize that everything you work so hard for could literally be taken from you in a tragic situation. For example, what happens if, a crazy texter you know, just somebody not paying attention on the road, right? I see it every day in my travels on the road, you know, accidents that I know people didn't get out of alive. Anything can happen to any of us at any point in time. And in the event that, you know, Laurie or myself didn't make it home from work, we had to ask ourselves the question of, you know, what plan do we have in place, you know, to offset, you know, the expenses that would obviously come with that. You know, I mean, not only do you lose your wife, but then you have, you know, a business on the line, 2 kids to think about, you know, so there were a lot of things that were kind of going through my mind. The other thing I learned was the, you know, the living benefits that are associated with insurance. So everybody tell you, yeah, I got life insurance. Everybody tells you that they have it. And a lot of people do. A lot of people have it through their job, which is great. But unless you plan on dying on that job, it really doesn't do much for you. You know, it's a group policy through work. As long as you're employed there, you have protection. You know, if you leave the job, in some cases retire, you're left with nothing. So, you know, we realized there, you know, that if we were like with living benefits, that's not included in most policies. In fact, 98% of all policies that are enforced today, as Limmer suggests, are, you know, which is a governing body in our industry, says that, you know, living benefits are not included in the life insurance policy. And what are living benefits? It's, you know, critical illness. You suffer a cancer, heart attack, stroke. I mean, there's, you know, probably 16 different triggers with most of our companies that will allow you to, you know, to file a claim. You know, chronic illness, right? So it's I say it's any of the major illnesses that you would have. 85% of all disabilities in this country are actually covered under that critical illness rider. So it's major illness, things that are going to take you out of work, you know, for a length of time. You know, then you have, you know, chronic illness, you know, losing 2 activities of daily living, could be through injury or illness. Then you have, you know, terminal illness, which kind of speaks for itself. You know, and then there's even critical injury, you know, with some of our carriers. What happens if you're in a, you know, pretty serious car accident and again, can't go to work? You know, so that was the other question that I asked, you know, and I learned that information. I said, okay, what happens if one of us gets sick? You know, I see it every day in this line of work, and it's not age specific, you know. So what happens if somebody gets sick and they can't go to work and earn the check? How do they pay the bills? I tell the story all the time. It's what happened to my father when he was diagnosed with cancer. You know, one day he's okay, and then he's got blood in his urine. All of a sudden, he's at University of Penn. He's got a baseball-sized tumor in his bladder. My mom's spending every day there. She's missing time at work, parking, co-pays, have to eat, all these things. And, you know, the house was in jeopardy. So, you know, I saw it within my own family. What happens when you don't have a plan in place? So you don't lose it all when you pass. It's a lot of times when you get sick and can't go to work. So, you know, obviously it's a big answer, but a very important one at that, because this is, you know, really what I saw is that life insurance, you know, wasn't what I thought it to be. There are a lot of, you know, protections that can be in place while you're still alive. You know, and that's why I became excited about the position. And, you know, here we are 6 years later.
And would you agree that over the thousands of individuals that you've had an opportunity to either, you know, sit at their place of business or sit in their living room, that everyone's situation, regardless of race or religion, the county they live in, the zip code they live in, we're all the same. We all have things like what your father went through, or thoughts like you and Laurie had when you first entered into the business. Would you agree? We all have the same stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree 100%. We all have the same stuff. You know, all the challenges that exist, you know, within my own family, you get out there and you realize that, you know, most of these families have similar stories, you know, I mean, they do. You know, and that's why I'm so passionate about what it is that I do, is that, you know, although I can't change some things that happen with my own family, you know, my goal through a consultative approach is just to go out there and help these families avoid, you know, some of the things that, you know, my family had to go through, some of those financial hardships. Because I tell you, a plan in place when tragedy strikes, whether it's an untimely death or, you know, a critical illness, you know, having a plan in place will eliminate, you know, a lot of the stresses that will follow.
And what have you found to be some of the greatest worries or stress among a small business owner with maybe, you know, 20 employees or less, or the average everyday family, right? Husband and wife, both working a full-time job, maybe 2 children in school. You know, the average American family, what have you found to be their greatest worries and some of their greatest stresses that they just kind of offset, right? They put off to the side. Nobody ever wants to talk about it, but we bring that light to, you know, we bring that situation to light. What have you found, you know, through those conversations, and what have you done to sometimes remedy those thought processes?
Well, so I mean, typically what we do when we go out and we sit down with any business owner, or obviously, we do a lot of our work in the living room. One of the things that I've learned, since joining Freedom Financial Solutions here is just, go in and ask the questions. I mean, sit down and just truly get to know people. Find out, what their concerns are, find out what their needs are. Because you sit there and ask the right questions, you're going to get the answers that you're looking for. And, we certainly have the solutions. But I think that ultimately the biggest concerns, whether it's a business owner or just, somebody that's refinanced or purchased a home, is just the what ifs, that life can present. All of our families, I mean, anybody that you meet, will tell you somebody that suffered a cancer, a heart attack, a stroke, obviously those are the big three, but just any type of debilitating illness that just, takes somebody out of work. And like I said, we hear these stories of it happening, more and more often, people in their 30s, younger than myself. So again, it's not age specific, and so, through asking the questions, finding out what their pains are, we're obviously able to, put a plan in place that can help them eliminate those risks, giving them an opportunity really just to sleep a little bit better at night. If something does happen, the plan is in place to move it forward. God forbid something happens to me, for example, so I mean, I start with myself. I don't make it back home, where I started my day. I know that there's a financial, plan in place that's going to keep things moving forward for, my wife and 2 kids. And then obviously we have a plan in place that surrounds the business. More importantly, if something's happened to my wife, because that's her deal and that's her day-to-day deal. I just help her out and try to really listen. Help out with some of the behind the scenes stuff, but she runs the day to day. She's the reason, the place is the success that it is, but we have to put a plan in place because if she's no longer here, it's going to fall on me. So we have to, have a plan in place, to keep it moving forward. And listen, most of the business owners you talk to, obviously if something were to happen to them, it's over. The business is over. But the more important question we ask is, look, not, what happens not if you pass away, but again, if you suffer a cancer, heart attack, stroke tomorrow, and you're out of work the next 6 months to a year, what's going to happen to the business? What plan do you have in place to offset the expenses that are going to follow? And, even just in the appointment I had yesterday, the answer is nothing. I'll lose it all. And so that's where we're able to kind of kick back, put a plan in place, and help them eliminate those risks.
I mean, just off the top of your head, if you had to choose a percentage, if you walked into and you had an appointment with 20 business owners over the 31 days in March, if you stepped into 20 business owners' offices, how many of them do you think really actually have the proper plan in place so that they don't lose that business that they worked so hard to build up?
I mean, maybe 10 or 15%, a very small percentage, and I understand that because again, 6 years ago, that was us. Yeah. I had no idea what existed out there, or, the flip side of that, what I mean, is they do have something in place. They think it's enough. It's just one of those traditional, life insurance policies that, it's a surviving benefit. They have to die, in an effort for a claim to be filed. Yeah, they think they have coverage in place, but the problem is it's not the right coverage for their given situation. They're still exposed to many of the risks we've already talked about.
That is true. And, over the years, you and I have had an opportunity equally, right? So your company is the Skelley Group and right. Yep. So, and I'm Sozo Capital Partners, and we're both a branch, a subsidiary of the Freedom Financial Group. Each of us independent business owners, and you and I work together very closely, individually, so to speak. And so over the years, you and I have had an opportunity to experience different types of clientele, right? The clientele that is over age 65 to 85, who typically needs that final expense product. A lot of times they just have nothing in place, and they just want to make sure that their children or their grandchildren don't have to come out of pocket in the event that something was to happen to them. They want to make sure that those funeral expenses are covered, and that's the final expense marketplace. Then you have the marketplace that you and I operate in, which is pretty much the middle America, like we spoke about earlier. An income level maybe between $75,000 and sometimes $200,000 a year, equally in a household. They just bought a brand new home. They have 2 children. Their concern is, right, I want to cover my brand new mortgage or the mortgage that I just refied. And so all these benefits that you spoke about earlier come with the mortgage protection, which is, kind of like the sweet spot of America, where 97% of these families, yeah, they might have some sort of whole life product or even a term life product, but they don't have any of those living benefits that you just spoke of. They don't have the protection for the critical injury when the crazy kid is texting and driving, runs the red light, right? They don't have the protection, right? Heart attack, stroke, cancer, if you can't perform your living activities. They don't have the protection if they get a bad report at the doctor and he says 12 to 24 months. What happens to that home? What happens to the family? Next thing you know, they went from living in a 3,000 square foot home to living in a 2-bedroom apartment. Not that there's anything wrong with the 2-bedroom apartment, but what happens? Now you're taking your kids out of the school district. Now they're going to a different school, and everybody's life's been turned upside down by no fault of their own. They just didn't have the correct protection in place. And then we have the sector that you and I love to operate in, which is that index universal life that we're talking about here. That tax-free retirement plan that comes with the living benefit. And that seems to be your passion. That seems to be, what really gets you going. And what is it about that IUL, that tax-free retirement plan, that you really enjoy helping people with, more so than going in the direction of a mortgage protection plan, more so than a whole life or a term life? Why do you prefer an IUL?
No, it's a great question, Brett. But the reason that I like the IUL is it's look, it's really where I got my start. And as much as I enjoy obviously working with our Mike does an awesome job here within Freedom Financial Solutions to eliminate lead vendors. We do all of our mail in-house. We're in total control of that. It's all first-class mail. Giving us what I will say is a true first mover advantage. There are obviously a lot of competitors out there. But we also have the opportunity to work with carriers that nobody else gets to work with. A company like American National, with some of the carriers that I've worked with in the past, the premiums are half, on the simplified issue side, which means you don't have to do blood, urine, all the traditional medical exams that were required with insurance. We have those companies, some pretty amazing products, as people are entering into retirement, not only protect the mortgage, but also to protect their retirements. We also have, the ability to work with National Life Group, who, in my opinion, arguably has one of the best index universal life products on the market today. It blows away anything else that I've had the ability to work with. And so, look, it's kind of like this. I have this conversation with my friends all the time, and a lot of them are, contributing to the 401k, and we've seen some family, succeed on that path, in the past. And I'm not saying that it's, something that you shouldn't do. It's not a debate on that. I'm just saying that, most people only understand, the kind of the old set of rules, the old way of doing things. And there's a lot of savers that I meet, that's what I kind of refer to them as when I go into the home. Because sometimes, through the conversations we're having, the questions we're asking, a lot of these individuals are wondering if they're doing things right. If you have the right questions, you start to learn a little bit about what they're doing to set up their future. See, this isn't all about, just what happens if you pass away. Again, with the way that these programs work, they're vehicles for, so what I refer to as a tax-free retirement. And for many savers, they're operating under the old set of rules, quite honestly. Rules that were created and tested decades ago for market conditions that no longer exist today. And, the IUL is really a great program to kind of offset, from some of the, the old programs there. The problem is, as great as these programs are, insurance carriers don't do a great job of advertising, right? That's not what they do. That's our job. It's our job to get it into the marketplace. So most people that I sit with, they don't have any idea about the program. They don't even know that it exists. Listen, 6 years ago, neither did I. So it's my job just to sit down and educate them on the program. What I love about the Index Universal Life, you have to understand it is an insurance policy at its core. Obviously there are some, some health situations you have to consider, right? When you consider the program, because it is a life insurance policy at its core. It also has all of the living benefits that we talked about. Critical, chronic, terminal, including critical injury, which, you don't see anywhere else. This is with National Life Group. But, it also has the ability to accumulate cash. And if we take a look at, the way that the S&P is, produced over the last 20 years, it's roughly, on average, about an 8%, just shy of 8% rate of return over the last 20 years. In our particular program, it has, a 3% floor, has a 12.5% cap, so you can see that, yeah, it's huge, an 8% rate of return. Listen, there may be some other things you can do out there to provide a greater rate of return, but I'll tell you what, you're going to be dealing with the downside risks. Here, with the IUL, you're always participating in the upside of the market. You get to eliminate those downside risks. So when we go back to the 401k, which most people have, again, not knocking it, but everybody's excited to defer taxes now. And you could take, the average $50,000 employee that's maybe at my age, putting in the max will probably accumulate, let's just say he'll accumulate about $300,000 in retirement income at age 65. And they're excited to defer taxes on what equals about $75,000. Well, guess what happens when you get to retirement? Uncle Sam is now your partner in retirement. Okay, so that 401k, is obviously going to be taxed. When you
he's not your favorite uncle.
No, he's not my favorite uncle. He's not, and so that's what, you end up dealing with. Now you're retiring, you have that income to take a look at the 28 to 33% tax bracket that you're going to be in. Take a look at that retirement income, and if average lifespan is, let's say 82, you're going to be able to live 20 years on that income. So one of the biggest fears that I see with people out there today is the fear of outliving their income, that they have for retirement. The second is what happens if they do get sick, critically ill, right? Chronically, more importantly, long-term care, what happens then? They're fearful of their illnesses wiping out, their retirement income. And so those two things I think really can be eliminated, obviously, with, an index universal life program. But that's what my wife and I have. I mean, we started these 4 years ago. We spend a lot of money. We drop about $1,000 a month for ourselves and the 2 kids. But, when Laurie and I take a look at it, we'll have over $1 million in supplemental tax-free income, at the age of 65. And look, I intend to do more. I did one on my daughter. She was 5. We pay $100 a month. I don't know what the little girl's could be, anything she wants. Anybody that knows my daughter knows the world is hers, for the taking. And obviously the same for my son. He wants to be a doctor. I expect they'll both do well in life. But let's just say this, no matter what they do, when they reach retirement age, they'll both have over $1 million of supplemental income tax, supplemental retirement, income tax free, when they get to their retirement age. Now, keep in mind, these are programs that can be utilized along the way. They can tap in and can borrow from themselves and utilize the funds if they need to. So it's really an awesome program. Sorry, Brett, we're all right?
Yep, you're back. And so
yeah, sorry. I didn't have it on the do not disturb, unfortunately, because it, couldn't hear the volume. So anyhow, what I was just, finishing up with, so what the IUL does, just to kind of, bring it to a close here, is that the IUL gives you, obviously a death benefit at its core. It's obviously going to give you the living benefits, and it's also going to give you the ability to, to earn. In the way that my wife and I have structured it, like I said, we will have ourselves set up in the future. And again, I intend to do more. I intend to increase the policies that we have. But, just doing $100 a month on each of my kids to see where I can, I can leave them. I'm the owner and payer on it right now. Someday they'll take it over. But, talk about leaving a legacy, not only to my kids, but also to my grandkids, with that particular program. So, for me, I get to, go into those retired years, with a supplemental, like I said, tax-free income. I intend to do some other things, but I don't want to have to pay taxes on my income when I get to my retired years. See, I'd rather say this, I'd rather pay taxes now on the seed,
yes,
on the seeds there, as opposed to paying taxes down the road on the harvest. And that's what I try to get people to understand, that there are other ways of doing things. It's not that they necessarily have to stop what they're doing now, but those extra funds that they're putting into that program, that $300, $400, $500 a month that they're putting in from their paycheck, there's a better way, and it's our job to get out there and educate them and let them know, what's available to them.
Joe, listening to you talk about what you've done with Laurie and Brianna and Dom and the kids, it's very similar to what I did with Grant and Aubrey and Jen. We have the same exact stuff. It's amazing. Those kids, I left them a gift when they each turn 40 years old. They'll each get tax-free $50,000. They each have a college fund set up tax-free, and then they each have a retirement tax-free, 6-figure retirement, tax-free setup. Set it up for myself, set it up for Jen, and then set it up for the kids. So we have something similar. We're not going to use today so much to talk about the differences between the 401k. You touched on it a little bit, the 401k in comparison, and we can show people, we can do a different interview where we can show actually illustrations, the difference between a 401k and an IUL, a tax-free retirement, maybe the difference between a Roth IRA and a tax-free retirement, any kind of investment that anyone has out there in comparison to the IUL, we can show real factual information on what that looks like. And so, a lot of people do have those whole life policies because it's just what's on the market. It's what the average person believes is the right type of benefit to have, or a traditional term life. Now, neither one of those programs typically have any living benefits that we spoke about earlier. And what makes us, I believe, different in the marketplace is those living benefits, is being able to help people in the event that something happens to them while they're alive, accessing the income, the money, when you need it the most.
Yep.
Right? Doesn't mean that, God forbid, if something happens and a tragedy occurs, that your family as beneficiaries shouldn't receive the money they should, but this does both. And so that's what most people, we want to educate as many people as we can about those processes. And, there's a lot of other industry companies out there who work in our space, and they do something very similar to what we do. You touched on it earlier. A lot of times they're lead junkies, and they're in competition. They're in competition with other companies with the leads, and they have a different business entity when it comes to the leads. And I did a video about that a couple weeks ago. We just like to do things differently, right? We believe in taking a sheet of paper and writing down what everybody else in the industry does, tearing it in half, and then on the other side, do the opposite. Right? Doing the opposite, using different products, different carriers, just putting ourselves and our agents. You have an agency that you've built, that you hire for, putting our agents in a successful position right out of the gate. And, it's a fact. Most agents who have obtained an insurance license, they typically don't normally make it a year or two because they're taught to call their friends and family. I love the multi-level industry. We're not multi-level, but a lot of the multi-level companies out there, that's how they teach. They teach friends and family. And if you haven't gone out and gained the proper experience, if you don't have the right carrier, the right product, the right knowledge, the right education, people know you for you. And when you go to talk to friends and family, especially your successful uncle or your super successful cousin, and you try having this conversation, he or she's going to say, I have a financial advisor, they take care of all that. Could you maybe touch on maybe the difference between how financial advisors typically work off fees and how we do not?
Yeah, I mean, so the first thing I'll do, Brett, is I'll just kind of address it. In addition to obviously going out there and taking care of families, I do have an agency. Interestingly enough, when I, joined Freedom Financial Solutions, it was just to kind of, get out there, be able to work locally. For me, it's all about building relationships with the people that I'm fortunate to meet. And some of the other companies that I've worked with, I had to travel all over the place, and I mean, if a lot of people saw my travel schedule over the years. It was not only for meetings, but I'm running appointments, 2, 3, 4 hours away from home. I certainly did all right with that, made money, but the reality is I couldn't do the business the way that I wanted to be able to do it, which is, to be able to build meaningful relationships with people, go back out there and deliver their policies, make sure they're comfortable with everything that we've done, get together with them each year and do an annual review. If nothing else, I'm just checking in on individuals to see how the family's doing, but, the annual reviews sometimes, and, and so each year we get an opportunity to take a look to make sure that they have the, the best coverage for their given situation. So that's number one, but it's just, I get it all the time, you know what I mean? Because I have been involved in some of those, multi-level marketing deals, and people will come in the house, family, friends, they'll see that board and they'll go, oh, another pyramid scheme, which I get a kick out of. I'm basically in a business that's been around since the beginning of time. It's not going anywhere, right? It's a staple. We all need insurances. Let's look at it this way. Everybody hates insurance when you have the conversation. But what they don't like, ultimately, is the, the traditional insurances of homeowners, car insurance, health insurance, right? None of us can stand that. Health license, want no parts of it. But those are all insurances by law we have to have, right? And I like touching on this. We have to have them by law. And if we file a claim, somebody else is getting paid. And it's never easy to file that claim, right? The cost, we don't use it, everybody's frustrated. I mean, our health insurance, we're paying, we trimmed down from where we were. We're paying about, $1,300 a month for the three of us here. Dominic's Woody's mom. So when you think of that, but I hear people that are over $2,000 a month for health insurance. Yes, nobody likes it. So when we go out there, that's sometimes some of the things that we have to contend with. But what we do is a little bit different. By law, you don't have to have it, right? Yet it's the only one that's going to take care of, of you and your family, in essence, if you have to file that claim. So that's what, we've gotten, real passionate about, right? So for me, being able to bring some agents on board, which is kind of what you have here. I end up with 26 agents in 7 states, but they're all, somewhat local. I can get to them. And these are all, pretty much for the most part, new people that I've met really over about the last 9 months. They're just looking for an opportunity, that have been in this industry, just looking for a way to get out there and be profitable. A lot of other companies that are out there, I mean, I'm not going to knock them. They do things the way that they do them, but there are a lot of expenses. And I can just say, if I'm going to spend that kind of money, then, I want to own the company. That's kind of how I feel about it. Since, coming here to Freedom Financial Solutions, I don't have any overhead, don't have any expenses, So, I mean, for me, I'm doing everything in my backyard, zero. I'm in Delaware County, Chester County, PA, zero expenses. I have a lead that I work on with the owner of this company. It's really a credit to Mike and Colleen and the company that they've put together, because they really do things obviously opposite, kind of leading into the other part of your question. They do things opposite of how everybody else does them. And, and that's to make sure that their agents are profitable and they genuinely care about their agents. I have, conversations with Mike, day in, day out. I've never seen a CEO of a company more accessible and more knowledgeable than Mike. And that's helpful, when you're obviously in partnership with somebody. But he's also, he teaches us to obviously take care of the client. This is not about recruiting agents and trying to find the next guy to come on and sell. This is about taking care of the clients that we're fortunate to meet each day. And in the process, we meet agents, the ones we're looking for are individuals that want to go out and do the same. But we want to teach them how to be profitable in this business. Obviously, what this is here, as you look at that board, yeah, I mean, it has a similar structure to things that people are uneasy about, let's say. But this is, it's no different than any other sales structure in any other industry. And so what you and I have, Brett, is obviously a true management position here, with these individuals. That's not for everybody, but I like, obviously having the ability to go out there, be successful, in the home, and I like teaching other people how to go out and do the same. And then obviously, we're taken care of by the carrier in an effort to do that. But I really like to stress, just what it is that we have here. I mean, zero operational cost and lead cost of $35 flat lead. Where I was previously, I was paying over $50 for the thing. I'm in my backyard. I'm not traveling all over the place for trainings. I go right to the Philadelphia airport, right? We do them bi-monthly. Conference calls, we want to be involved with our people. We do one 45-minute call each week. We go to our large conferences. They don't cost anything. Where I was previously, it would be over $1,000 just to get to the training and back. And it was a cost to sit in the room. We have none of that, zero, none of that. You shouldn't have to pay to learn how to do the business. We have our private Facebook page that you and I work with, where we're doing things like this, on a private level. So we're able to teach people. And because we're working locally, we have the ability to get in the car and go work with these people, making sure that they have a level of success that they anticipated, having when they got here. And, again, it trickles down from Mike and Colleen, caring about the people that they work with. You and I are that way with our agents. And, the whole goal right now is to go out and be successful. So I really just wanted to, stress that piece, because, we're always looking for, obviously good people to come on board, but, we are pretty selective. Where I've been previously, we take anybody that wants to come on board. And I guess that's maybe why, people looked at it a little funny. But with this, it's a traditional management position that we get to do right here. And this is the most profitable that I've obviously been in my, 6 years of insurance. These last, 8 months, with this particular operation, it's the most profitable that I've been. And I'm excited, obviously, about where we're going from here. And eventually having the ability for you and I to be able to, take control of that mail, to get that from Mike, and work closely with him on that, but to be able to bring that into the Philadelphia market and actually send out the mail for our agents. I mean, how awesome is that? And there's nobody else doing anything like that out there.
Nobody.
So no, and I just, I really wanted to kind of stress, that piece, obviously what we're doing here, just to give, people an understanding as to, who we are and what we're doing. We're definitely doing things a little bit differently. To the outside world, it's the Skelley Group. Nobody notices, there's no change. Joe's in insurance, but behind the scenes, it's all about the company you position yourself with. It's all about operating with integrity, doing things the right way, and taking care of the people that we're working with in the home, and taking care of the agents that that join us to go to work. So I really wanted to just touch on those couple of points there. And there's probably a piece of that question I didn't answer, but I felt that was an important piece to discuss, because there are so many other companies out there and they all look the same, and to be quite honest, a lot of them are. But I was fortunate, blessed to be able to find this this company here. And like I said, I guess the end statement is I found my home.
Yeah, one of the things that I'd like to also bring it back to is the fact that, again, we bring it back to the IUL. We bring it back to the business owner. We bring it back to the average American who doesn't have the proper coverage in place, who has a traditional 401k or a Roth IRA, who's paying heavy uploaded fees up front. And one of the benefits that we have here together, you and I and our select group of agents, is we have that free mailer that we send out with our own little special sauce. We're not going to tell everybody what it is here because we don't want anybody taking our ideas. But we have that mailer with that little special twist that we put in there that we send out to all the local business owners. And then we have the script and the way to follow up with those business owners. And it doesn't cost us anything other than about $10 in postage. And when the average AP is between $3,000 and $5,000, $10 is a drop in the hat in comparison to a $3,000 to $5,000 profit. And so it's one of the benefits we have. And one of the other benefits, and you touched on it, was we don't do the contracts either. All the other companies out there, they all tie into the contracts because they want to, let you know that it's there to protect you when really it's there to protect them. And so there's a lot of huge differences that we have between what most agents are used to and what we've been able to do here. Again, we just took a look at what everybody else does in the space, and we just decided to do it differently, much more profitable, where we're not making a profit off a lead and we're not making a profit off an agent. Everybody's independent here, the way it's supposed to be. And so let me ask you, when you're looking to hire an individual, and you spoke about it, we just don't want to take everybody. No offense to the MLM industry, but network marketing, they want everybody. And here we're looking for individuals who, are a little bit more self-motivated, who have some more personal development. They don't necessarily have to have worked in the financial services industry. They don't need to have a knowledge of an IUL. They don't need to know the components of living benefits. We have training in place for that. But who is it that Joe Skelley and the Skelley Group, who is it that you look to identify that you like to work with?
I mean, so, really what I'm looking for, I guess, try to find people that are out there like myself, I mean, it's, just looking for somebody. I always say, we're all adults, when you work independently, it's interesting. I mean, you get the freedom of, kind of doing your own thing, like I said, I definitely like to, joke around about, my buddies that, have the jobs, they're doing well. I mean, a lot of the people that I hang out with, I mean, they're doing well. I kind of respect the work that they do, but I think oftentimes they're like, what's this guy do? I don't leave the house, some days. What's going on? Does he work? I've heard all of those things along the way, and it's cool. What I mean? I just have a lot of flexibility in my schedule, which I wouldn't trade for, any salary that could be paid to me at this point. I mean, I have no cap, and and for that I'm grateful. So what I'm looking for, are those individuals that are just, self-motivated. I say it's like, look, some will get up and go out and do what they got to do, and others don't, and here's, like I stress, I really don't care. And I say this, I don't really care what an agent gets up, and does or doesn't do. See, I get up every single day of the week and I go out there and I meet with families and business owners. So, I'm dictating the income that this family needs, to keep it moving forward, right? Multi-level marketing, some of those other crazy deals out there, really where this is different is that, you're a lot of times relying on other people's efforts, what they do or don't do to dictate your income. See, in the world of insurance, this is just, like I said, we're in the world of traditional sales. I'm going to work. Now, I've, obviously developing a team of agents because, I like the idea of residual income. I go and teach them, what it is that I'm able to do, and the insurance carrier is going to pay me, making sure they're successful. They're not successful, neither am I. So, that's where I said it's a true management position to really get them going, make sure that they, they have the success they want to have here. But you're looking for those self-starters. If you're not buzzed up when your feet hit the floor on a Monday morning to go make a difference for yourself and your family, not just talking about wanting to make changes, but actually going out there and doing what it takes to bring that to reality. That's the person that I want to, obviously surround myself with. I want to help them make a difference. Listen, we also lost a business. You hear all the successes about, obviously, Megan's, and that's great, but we took a chance on another business. And like I said, we lost $250,000, paying $2,200 a month. I don't mind sharing it to anybody that's listening. $2,200 a month has to go out the door before I even get started. I've got all kinds of family challenges, things going on, within my family that make some of you fall out of your chair. But the reality is I have to keep it moving. My family's dependent on me, right? So I don't have any excuses. I just go do what I have to do every day. And those are the people that I'm looking for, the ones that want to go out there and make a difference for themselves and their families. But let's not forget, making a difference for the, what's most important is making a difference for the families that they're fortunate to meet, whether it's through our direct mail campaign, some of the other leads that we have, making a difference for a business owner, right? It's all about them first and foremost. We do right by them, it's just a natural side effect that, we're going to get what we want out of the situation. So that's what I'm looking for. People that want to do things the right way. Want to operate with integrity and do it the right way, go out and take care of people and take care of their families. So, and that obviously there's a lot involved with that, but, we have the platform here, and the platform works if people do. If you take this on and you're consistent in your approach, we've got people making $500,000 a year in this company. We hear about these people every day, and it's not just one or two. There's a lot of people, making over six figures here. And like I said,
not to interrupt you, but let's be clear. That is off their own pen. That is not necessarily, having the want or need to build an agency. That is strictly off their own performance.
Their own performance. Yeah, I think there might only be one, maybe one or two that, actually have the agencies large enough to earn that kind of money. But no, all the numbers we're talking about are on their own pen. And here's another piece I want to stress. Okay, so when you're in business for yourself, there's the number at the end of the day that the business did. Then you got to factor in expenses. So what did you really net? It's easy to talk, nonsense about a big number that's, at the bottom line there, but you got a lot of things to subtract out of there. And I can tell you that these people are earning heavy six figures free of the expenses that we talk about, and, we talk about a $35 lead. I don't want to confuse people. Not everybody gets the, the privilege of being able to work on that. That's just something because we send it out, together. I split that cost with the CEO of the company, and we go out there and we take care of people. But, we also have a tremendous referral program, the way that we, we work on referrals. So, there's 1% of the population that fills out a piece of paper. Mike has taught us not to be dependent on 1% of the population. What about the 99% out there that we're not touching? What are their needs? Where do you think the money is to be made? So, we don't want to fire up the lead machine. A lot of the other companies, that's all they want to do is, because they make money on leads. They want to jam them down your throat. Here, we're actually trying to get you in a position where you don't have to take a lead, right? That's one of the biggest things that we do differently than everybody else out there. And that's going to keep you profitable. If you're dropping $2,000, $3,000 a month on leads, you're kind of getting the month off, right? You're starting your month like me with the failed business. That's what's going to happen. You're going to probably have a failed business. And so, that's important to understand, but, there's, obviously ways to go out there and work with, the local business owners. And it's a little piece of mail that I personally send out, handwritten. There's a form that I have, a little note that I include, being a local business owner myself. Anybody that's involved with this, everybody that's involved with this and, doing, this independently is technically, their own business owner here. So anybody can send out that form. It's all, a marketing, plan around eliminating headaches. And we got a neat idea that we do. People love it. And, I get a lot of people to follow up. And so it's been some more market, some responses from the leads. And, just another way that we can go out there and do business and make a difference for people. So that's it. I don't know if, you want to add anything to that, but I mean, just, really being in control of the business. We can help people that have the final expenses. We can help people that have just refinanced or purchased the mortgage. We call that mortgage protection, put a plan together. We can help people that are looking to, try to build that income, have that supplemental retirement income. We can work with those people that are nearing retirement, protecting the assets through certain programs we have. We can help them pensionize their money, through our different programs that we have, where they're, again, participating in the upside of the market without any of that downside risk. We have experts, specialists that can kind of take somebody's retirement income, sit down, have a conversation with them free of charge. Because remember, financial advisors, to go back to a point earlier, they make money on your fees. I mean, they charge fees to manage your money. So financial advisors, listen, I work with a lot of them. There are some excellent financial advisors out there, but some of the good ones that I'm talking to, they do what they do, manage money and help out, doing that deal. We do insurance, and a lot of the good ones, they don't do both. And so I don't knock anybody that's in financial planning. I think it's great, but people say to me sometimes about the IUL, one of the things that I hear is, oh, it's expensive. There's fees that are included in it. They're all built in up front. If you take a look at, long term, what ends up being more, expensive, it really is that 401k program. 1% to the provider, money's in mutual funds, that's another 1%, minimum 2% that they're paying out, if not more. As you accumulate, that account, look at that 20 years down the road, 25 years down the road. That's an awful lot of money, obviously, that they're paying in the way of fees. So there's just some, sometimes when people go and they want to Google and look up, the IUL, there's just some misconceptions. There's a real good article that's on banktruths.com that really breaks down, some of the misconceptions about it. This is a book, right here, The New Rules of Tax-Free Retirement by Martin Ruby, that I encourage everybody to read, whether you're in this business or not. Read this. It's a thin little book. You can have it knocked out in no time. Read this, and just kind of take a look. Make sure your situation is as good as it can be. And if not, allow us an opportunity just to sit down and provide you the information you're entitled to. Ultimately, what you do with it's up to you. There is no, sales guy nonsense, with our company. We sit down as consultants and help you, basically, accomplish a need. Like I say, we provide the solutions to the needs that you have. But we do it all. We do everything here. We're not just, fully underwritten. If people have to do medical exams, it's accepted here. We do what's in the best interest of the client, not the best interest of the agent and the company. That's the bottom line to what we do.
People over profit.
People over profit. And when you do it the right way, like I said, at the end of the day, there's a business side to it, right? But if, you're genuinely out there taking care of people, showing them how much you care, not how much you know, it goes a long way, and that's really what's attributed to my success. But that's really what I'm teaching my agents, as they come on board. And I get that every day from Mike and Colleen, so it goes from our owners down through our managers to our agents.
Yep.
We're just, doing things the right way, so it's a company, that's certainly growing. But, as Mike says, we're not looking to be the biggest, the most dominant. We're just looking to, do things the right way and be the most profitable.
Lean and profitable. And, Joe, one of the last things that we'll touch on here is fun. Because how many people really have fun in what they do, whatever industry they're working in, whether they're working, as a traditional business owner, as a franchise owner, as an employee, whatever it is, as a foreman, as a tradesman, who knows? But the question becomes, we only have so much time here on earth. Yes, we only have so much time to spend with our family. We only have so much time in a day allowed to us. What are we doing with that time, and how are we spending it? And do we really, truly, authentically enjoy what we're doing? Are we having fun? Are we in service-related mode? And it's been said over and over from years past down, but the more people you help, the more money you make. Here, truly, and we have a saying, right? That we have a saying, what we do here in our community, in our group, we meet people where they are, and then we put them in a better position than how we found them. And that's how we leave people. So we meet them where they are, we find them where they are, and then we leave them in a better position than how we found them. And if that means that that's with the Index Universal Life Tax-Free Retirement Program, so be it. If that's with the mortgage protection plan with the living benefits, so be it. If that has to be a final expense program, so be it. We do what's in the best interest, but we have fun. We have fun. I mean, I believe you went out and saw a client, a business owner the other day in Delaware County, and he had a catered lunch waiting for you, and then he invited you out to an event. We have fun with what we're doing with our clients. We have fun with the agents we work with. You and I know we have a great time when we get together outside of work. And how many people can truly, honestly say that other than thank God it's Friday, thank God it's Friday, do they truly, honestly, small percent of the population have fun and enjoy helping people and make as much income as they like? And so other than if you want to find Joe, you can type into your search bar in groups. You can type in a search bar, Freedom Financial Solutions. You'll have to send a request in order to be added to our private community, Freedom Financial Solutions. But if they wanted to reach out to Joe Skelley, if they wanted to find you directly, Joe, and they were interested in having a free assessment, finding out more about tax-free retirement, finding out more about the living benefits, protecting their assets, their family, their home, their business, whatever that might look like, how do they find Joe Skelley?
Well, I mean, obviously we're doing this deal here on, Facebook, which is, probably the first time I've ever done anything like this. And I guess I wanted to do this because, obviously there are a lot of people, first and foremost, that, they have the need. And, we can't reach everybody by a piece of mail. And so social media, pretty powerful tool. I mean, you can get the word out to the masses. And, it's just, being a local guy here, and just like I said, wanting to sit down and just kind of show you what you have, maybe where you could be, is what it's all about. Like I said, we just want to be able to provide information to you, help you with some of the, the needs, that you may have, and then on the flip side is, there's a lot of people out there that are, hurting for opportunity, and they just need something more. A lot of talented individuals out there, they're just kind of restricted, capped. They don't know what else is out there. And, I've tried a lot of things in my time, I've kind of gone through it, and, to be able to find the opportunity like we have here, I just want to be able to share it, for those that are looking for an opportunity. So that's what this was all about today, just trying to let everybody know what we're up to. I mean, I do work, right? At least for the hour we were on Facebook, right? We'll see where it goes from here. But I have, it's different every day. You know what I mean? I run appointments some days. I work evenings sometimes. I work days. I work weekends if I want. I don't. I do have fun because really, look, at the end of the day, what's most important to me now is, the ability to spend time with my family. We just lost my mother-in-law a couple weeks ago, and it just puts a lot of things into perspective, It does, and 48 years my father-in-law was with that woman, and it's just, it just happens, it wasn't enough. It happens so fast, and I see where he's at. But this business, what it did is it gave me 2 weeks to be able to allow my wife to spend that time in the hospital. I said, honey, go do what you got to do. Just spend all the time that you need to, you know what I mean? If the days are numbered, please just go do what you got to do. I'll hold it down. And I still worked, but I was able to hold it down for the family here, take care of my daughter while she was sick and just allow Laurie to be with her mom. And that's just one of the most recent things. I can't stress enough, the importance of being able to be here. And then when she passed, just having that week here, you know what I mean, with Laurie, and we had the staff pulled together and helped us out at the restaurant where we could just kind of be with family. And you can't put a price tag on that, and then you get back out there and, you have the ability to, to just go meet some families, and they got like a new story to share here. I mean, it's tough. She was 64 years old, cancer's a tough thing. And I share it because it was a very difficult situation for the family. It still is, reality setting in on everybody here, my 8-year-old daughter and everybody involved. So it's nice to be able to have the flexibility to just do what we need to do as a family. At the same time, I don't miss a beat. I have the ability to earn, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a week, and I can do it in a day or two, and have the opportunity to still work with agents and be there for my family, man. So fun, yeah, at times you do, but it's just, it's flexibility. It's never having to miss a basketball game or, a swim meet. At times, that can be a little challenging for my son. They're in the afternoon, but I'm always done it in the evenings. But, you're at as many of these things as you need to be at. Just the flexibility to pick my daughter up from school and just be able to work together with my wife. So, I share all of that because these are all challenges that every family has. Everybody's through these things. And, I still had And I think I shared this with you. I still had about $6,000 that came in, you know, to my bank account when I was down and out with my family from work that I personally did. I was being paid on work that I did leading up to that, you know, that tragedy. You know, and still being able to support agents where necessary. So I don't know where else you can do that. I don't know where else you can go out and have the flexibility and schedule, live life on your terms, but, you know, still be able to make, you know, decent income. So, you know, with that, Brett, you know, I don't know. I mean, if you have anything else you want me to share, but, you know, where they can find me is obviously on Messenger, on Facebook. You can find me on LinkedIn. My cell phone number is out there. I'd love an opportunity just to have a conversation, whether you're, you know, you're looking to improve your financial situation, or you're looking to, you know, obviously, you know, that's through policies, improve your long-term, you know, financial situation through the programs and products we have. Or if you're looking to improve your financial situation, when you consider your career, we have it all here. So with that, my friend, you know, I'll turn it back to you. I appreciate you having me on here today. Give an opportunity to share.
This was phenomenal. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us here today and provide your insights and ideas, being honest and authentic with everything that you told us today and sharing your story and stories about things that, you know, you go through, that I go through, that we've all gone through. I had a similar situation about a week after yours. And so, and everything was the same in terms of being able to have the income and have the flexibility, you know, and jumping on all these different airplanes and, you know, being on vacation. That's not being able to vacation when you want, how you want, with whoever you want. It's that time. That's that true time freedom. So again, thank you so much. I'd say that maybe if you're watching the replay here today or over the next few days, let us know you're watching the replay. Joe, let you know where you can find him, where you can find me. If somebody, you know, from our agency had shared this Facebook Live interview, reach out to that individual about how you can get an assessment. And then Joe, maybe when we're all done, you can also drop the link to your website. Also, you could do that into the comments. But that's all we have. And again, I look forward to doing this again with you here real soon. Take care.